and girls, children of all ages, welcome in once again to the dungeon of the Doctors of Doom, where I am your host, Alex the Shark Sparks, and joining me, my co-host is here. Look, it's Mitch. Guess who's back, Black? And we may have some special guests dropping in later. We'll see, but for now, it's going to be the two of us starting things off. So say hello to all the Delvers out there. Mitch, welcome back to the pod.
Hello. Hey, in 2 years, I've missed 1 week. I'm sorry. I like the welcome back, but the Delvers probably didn't miss me that much. I think we'll be okay.
Clearly our last episode was the most highly rated episode since it was, me
Oh
solo. That's all the
no.
content people wanted was me arguing with myself. Exactly.
Hey, our sponsor seems to think it's better.
That's true. We get praise from the sponsor, and I guess that is the most important person to impress. So,
Either I'm getting squeezed out or I'm looking for a new sponsor. I'm not sure which one's happening.
well, hey, as he's sponsoring it, he stays. So you're getting squeezed out, but let's talk some sports. Like I said, we got some people joining us later. A lot to talk. Well, not a lot to talk about, but different sports to talk about, not just football. We're gonna start in the world of basketball. We've talked about this before, but the Mavericks are in the news again because they have now traded Anthony Davis. That's right, the guy they gave up Luka for. It has been on the team for less than a full season, and now he's gonzo, as they have given him up. I don't know if you've read about this trade. You probably have, but what do you think about this trade? Just for a little more context, they gave up Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum to the Wizards. They got back Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-round draft picks and 3 second-rounders. So really it comes down to they got 2 first-round draft picks and maybe Chris Middleton for D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis. Those are the only players of note, in my opinion, in that trade. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think this trade happened today because I had read about it this
It
morning.
did,
So I'm
yeah.
not okay. I'm not 100% up on it. I haven't, heard all my 90 podcasts that I listen to. So,
Oh,
um,
spoiler alert, you might hear an actual Mitch opinion here and not the opinion of one of the podcasts you listen to.
hey, my opinion is just a conglomerate of like a lot of others, and then I formed my own. No, the I'm reading that like one of the picks is also from the Thunder, which means it's going to be at the end of the first round, so it's not even truly a first round pick. This just seems like, uh, you know, different management coming in trying to fix a situation that they inherited is what it sounds like. I mean, what's that game in Catan or whatever? It's like no one wants the like that
No one
that
wants your
sheep or
freaking
whatever.
sheep. Yeah.
No one wants your sheep. That's what Anthony Davis is. Okay, he keeps getting
He's
traded
a
around.
32-year-old injury prone player. I wouldn't want him either.
When healthy, this is non-debatable in my opinion. When healthy, he's a top 5 player in the NBA, and it's not debatable for me. I know
Right,
people are
but
like,
like,
"Whoa, that's crazy."
but what is that,
Yeah,
Mitch? 25% of the season?
less, maybe
Uh,
less, because he'll pull himself out for like
yeah.
load management and stuff. Um, yeah, and go think about it though. The 1 year he was healthy for the Lakers, we won a championship. Just throwing it out there. But anyways, this didn't have to. It feels like a forced rebuild. I'll just sum it up with this. It feels like a forced rebuild, and they didn't have to. That's
Yeah,
what it feels like.
it does feel forced, and as you mentioned, the only thing that looked good about that trade is like we got draft picks, and like you said, if one of those draft picks isn't using it, because like yes, and I mentioned the first round, like second round picks in the NBA usually don't matter. Like let's just be real, like
At all.
it's
At
usually like
all.
the first 10, 12 picks are where you're like making your bread and butter, and
Yes.
outside of that, the rest of these guys are going to be in the G League or role players or not make the squad or not last long or what have you.
You can find good role
You
players
can't
in
like
the second
look
round.
you
Yeah.
can find pieces for sure, but like
Right.
when you evaluate this trade, like you can't just you can't, right? Like you
Yeah.
should in a vacuum evaluate just this trade for what this trade does for the team because you are in the situation you are in now. You can't change the past, so you should just evaluate this trade by itself. However, as someone who is a fan, well, at least was a fan, is a fan, whatever you're gonna call it, as someone who's a fan of the Mavericks, or just as someone who's like up to date on what is happening, and this is the same, the same ownership group, you have to evaluate it with what the trade originally was, which was the Luka trade. So you have to look at
Right.
it as it's not this is what we got for Anthony Davis and these players. It's this is what we got for Luka Doncic,
Correct.
right? So now it becomes we gave up Luka and these players for these other players and a couple draft picks. So I think because of the fact that you now don't have any star player out of this deal, it is a downgrade from what you had before. Like long term, this may be better for sure because like we've talked about, Anthony Davis doesn't stay healthy, but overall you gave up a generational superstar, and now you have nothing but hopeful picks in return. You don't have any. You didn't get a. You didn't get a star back because the one you got back, you already got rid of.
Yeah, that's the other thing is too, is like this might be the most they've ever gotten offered from Anthony Davis, and then the management has to be like, done, move on. That's because like they just won't get like some of these picks. 5 picks isn't bad for a 32-year-old player who can't stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not entire, but you did also give up Russell and Exum and Middleton. So I'm sorry, Middleton came back. Middleton's the good one in the player. I apologize.
Yeah,
You did give
he's
up
the one
Exum.
good piece they got
He's the
back, and
one
I
good
feel
player.
like
Yeah, it's Exum and Russell aren't terrible, but it's like those are serviceable role players. And back to your original point, yeah, I think around like 15 to 17 is when it drops off massive. I don't think like Dalton Connect was 17th overall, so I agree with what you're saying there is like unless it's a top 15 pick, and even then you got to hope someone falls to you. Like it's not worth. It's
yeah,
really not worth.
you cannot look. There's always a chance to find a diamond in the rough. There's always a chance someone will fall,
It's
or you
rare
have to get
though.
someone
It's
that.
rare.
But yeah, but in the NBA, unlike look, it's not like in pro football where you can draft a quarterback in the seventh round and have them be a Pro Bowl caliber player like a Brock Purdy or a Tom Brady or who have you, right? Like that's not common, but like it happens in football on a regular enough basis that you can see that happening. It doesn't happen in basketball. In basketball, if it's not a top 12 pick, it's probably not going to massively impact your future. You can hit, but generally speaking, it needs to be one of those top 12 guys coming out. And there's some years where it's a weak draft class and it's not even top 12, right? So, but yeah, the as it stands, the Mavericks are 19-31. They're out of the playoffs, even in the everyone gets a trophy league, whereas the Lakers are sitting in fifth place at 30-19, only 3 games out of second. So, I mean, we're not going to talk about first because Oklahoma City's just blowing people out. But
Yeah, so Kyrie's next. We'll see what they get for Kyrie, obviously. And the funniest part is like I'm reading right now. It's like Nico Harrison said after the trade, the Luka Doncic trade. Now the Mavs have a 3 to 4 year window to win with this roster for a championship. And Irving and Davis have played one game together.
one game together, and they're already blowing up this roster and going into rebuild.
Yeah,
And
so Irving
and
has to be
honestly,
next.
the only reason they even have any hope of future is because of how well Cooper Flag has played, and they only have Cooper Flag because of the conspiracy theory that you brought up. How they got the number one overall draft pick in the first place when they shouldn't have.
Yeah, that number one draft pick, not just one time, not just a couple times, but many instances over the last 30 years has been very debatable on how some of these teams got this pick. But that's a whole different podcast.
Because if they don't get the number one draft pick, if they get like the number 5, which is where they should have gotten, right? I mean, I know the NBA is a
Yeah.
lottery. I know it's not like, but still, I think the best odds they had was to get 5. If they pick fifth, this is such a different. This situation is so much worse.
Oh yeah. No, this is a yeah, poor Dallas fans. Oh well. Nothing more you can say.
But like you said, I mean, it's probably the best you were gonna get for Anthony Davis. So like, if you look at it just for this trade by itself, the trade's probably fine. But if you look at the overall picture, it hurts even more losing Luca.
And who you traded to too is also it's just like it's just keep giving the rich richer, you know what I mean? It's the Lakers are just set and stuff. Then they're gonna trade LeBron here soon and get even more pieces. It's such a terrible trade for Dallas.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at least this trade wasn't to a team in their conference, right? This one was to the Wizards. So yeah, at least and also like I want to point out, who has a worse record than the Mavericks? Not a lot of teams. There's only 4 teams with the worst record, 5 teams. One of those teams is the Wizards. It's like, are you really improving
Yeah,
your team
I
if
just
if
Googled
you're
it.
trading with a team that's worse than you?
I didn't know this off the top of my head, Alex. I just Googled it, but like from a betting person, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if I told you, Alex, you have a 1.8% chance of hitting this bet. You'd be like, next, move on. They hit. They had the 1.8 chance and hit for the number one pick on flag. That's the only
Well,
thing saving them.
that is the percent chance that they
Get the number one pick.
theoretically had. You and I both think there might have been a little cooking of the books
Oh yeah, cooking of it. I
to
mean,
change that. That might have been more like a 18% or even higher than the 1.8.
I'm sure they just called up Giuseppe Blatt or whatever the old commissioner of FIFA was, who perfected the weighting of
Sepp
these
Blatter,
bouncing
yeah.
balls. Yeah, Sepp Blatter, whatever the thing is, who perfected the weighting of these bouncing balls and the corruption of it. I think he's just one phone call away. Yeah, it's definitely not 1.8% chance for sure.
But yeah, a few other trades in the NBA happened. Any trade stand out to you that you want to talk about that was interesting to you at all? I mean, I brought up this one because we've talked about it before and because the Mavericks, but
No.
okay.
Nothing really stood out. Unless I missed something. There's nothing really.
I mean, Harden went to the Cavs. Chris Paul is now with the Raptors. Uh,
So the Cavs, Harden going to the Cavs is actually interesting. I don't think I knew that, and that's interesting because they're trying to woo LeBron back or whatever. So that's interesting.
yeah, so yeah, that Harden was here. We'll see. What I don't know what he was traded for. I just know he was. Let's see. He was traded for Darius Garland and a second round pick.
Okay, so basically nothing and nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, basically they picked him up for free. But I mean, look, he's a shell of his former self. He's not who he used to be for sure. But I mean, he's still a name. He's still a name brand recognition, right? And you never know.
It doesn't even say what year. It just says future second round pick. That's terrible. Just give us the player. Just take our picks.
Well, my guess is the Clippers just wanted to unload the salary. Is my guess. But
Or just Harden just refused to play or something.
yeah, who knows? Um, Lonzo Ball is going to be a free agent. Saw that one. He's going to get traded and waived. So I think the Ball family stories coming to an end. They were a flash in the pan, popular for a little bit, but
No, the don't I don't know if I agree with that because that the younger one is actually legit all-star good.
well, that's what everyone said. Is the youngest one was the best one, but I mean, is he in the league yet? Is he already in the league?
Oh, he's crazy good for
Okay.
New Orleans. He just plays for the Hornets. If he
Oh,
played
it's because he played
for
for the Hornets. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if he played for a better friend, oh, he would be a star. He's gonna be a star. He's still super young, and he's actually really good. He's got these crazy one-legged shots that the new generation are doing, and it's impossible to guard. It reminds me of Dirk Nowitzki's shot, where it's just like, how do you guard that? Well, LaMelo's got kind of the other what's the younger one's name? He's got like that crazy shot that's kind of hard to guard. He's good.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Do you have any other stories not NFL related that you want to talk about, or anything before we go into NFL stuff?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Fair enough. In that case, let's revisit a conversation from last week. And by revisit a conversation, I mean I'm going to revisit it, and now you're going to take part. So last week I talked about the Pro Bowl, and one of the things I talked about is how the Pro Bowl was kind of making itself even more of a joke by having Shador Sanders be a Pro Bowler. I wanted to add some more context to that. So on the NFC side, the three quarterbacks who made the Pro Bowl were Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, and Dak Prescott. Stafford elected not to go. Jared Goff replaced him. Jared Goff, very deserving. He threw 4,500 yards, 30 TDs. No problem with that. Sam Darnold can't go because he's currently playing in the Super Bowl. So Jalen Hurts replaced him. That one's a bit more of a stretch. Was not a great year for Hurts, but whatever. He's been there before. And then Dak Prescott made it and is going totally deserved. He played great this season. And now we move to the AFC. And this is where it just becomes an absolute joke. So you have Josh Allen, who had to have surgery, so obviously he couldn't go. He was replaced by Shador Sanders, which I talked about. Shador Sanders had a worse QBR than his teammate Dylan Gabriel. That's right. His teammate Dylan Gabriel had a better QBR than Sanders did this season. Justin Herbert, I'm not sure why Herbert opted not to go, but he's replaced by Joe Burrow. And then Drake May can't go because he's in the Super Bowl. And then he is jokingly, in my opinion, replaced by Joe Flacco, who I think had one win this season on the multiple teams he played for. And the reason I bring this back up, and I'll let you talk in a second, Mitch, but the reason I bring this back up is this is the first time in history that a team that started the year with two quarterbacks on their roster that both made the Pro Bowl, with both Shador and Joe Flacco going to the Pro Bowl. Not only that, the combination of Sanders, Joe Burrow, and Joe Flacco, how many combined games do you think they started this year, those three players?
Is it under 16?
No, it's not under 16, but that would be hilarious. It's 21. So
Okay.
21 games were started this year
Still
by
pretty
the
close.
three starting quarterbacks. Considering there's 17 games in a season, you could have three starting QBs that have up to 51 starts, and they have 21. And all three of them being like, I mean, was there just no one in the AFC that wanted to play?
So, yeah, this is interesting. I don't know if you said it just now, and I don't know if you said it last, but it's funny to me that like we were debating which QB would start for the Browns. And I was like, Flacco wouldn't even be on the roster, blah, 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 and all these things. Like, if you could go back in time and just be like, they have two Pro Bowl QBs, I think a lot of us would be like, the Browns made the playoffs this year? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah. Both the Browns and the Bengals had two Pro Bowl QBs because Flacco played for both of them. The whole Pro
yeah,
Bowl QB came from those two teams.
so the guy they drafted first is theoretically the organization's go-to plan because Shador fell to them and they took him later than Dylan Gabriel. And then they got Flacco before that draft, so they weren't sure who their QBs were going to be. So it's obvious you're just going to go get Flacco as a safety net or whatever. So it's like your two safety nets were actually the Pro Bowls over the guy you wanted to be a QB is wild to me.
Well,
Okay?
but also
Now,
that just goes down to like their weird decision making because as I pointed out, Dylan Gabriel had a better QBR than Shador Sanders. Now look, I'm not QBR is not the end all be all. I understand that's not like the only stat.
yeah.
That doesn't mean like that's not everything, but like it wasn't like Shador Sanders played better than Dylan Gabriel. He didn't. They just decided they liked him more towards the end of the
Right.
season.
So then what I'll say is like, okay, so Allen, Herbert, and May for obvious reasons, but Allen and Herbert for injured reasons, right? So those three would have been the starting three. Then it goes Burrow, Flacco, Sanders. Okay, so that's six AFC quarterbacks. While you think about this, while I give you the question real quick, is take out Sanders. So now you're on the seventh, eighth, or ninth overall QB in the AFC. Who are those guys that you would like in? I'll give you a second to think about it. But the other thing I will say is this is going to change over the next couple years, if not sooner, because of money. Whenever money is involved, things change. While what's happening now is these agents are going in and saying, look, my QB is a Pro Bowler or my left guard or whatever is a Pro Bowler, pay him Pro Bowl type money. When then the owners are saying, no, your guy's actually the ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th guy who gets in on injuries. So what they're going to do in the future is you're going to get elected Pro Bowl based off your pay or based off your play, and it doesn't matter if you're in the AFC Championship, the Super Bowl, like Darnold or May is, and you can't play or not. Those don't matter. This is just a designation where you are a Pro Bowl player. After that, the Pro Bowl is going to be based on popularity. So they're going to want those top players there, but you don't have to be a top player there. So then if you're going to that type of logistics and thinking, Shador Sanders had the most votes by far and away. If you statistically look it up, Shador Sanders beats out Allen, Herbert, and May. And those are the top three. So if he's just passing 6, 7, 8, 9 or whatever to become the sixth guy, he technically should have been one based on votes. So the NFL has just got this dilemma right now where it's like, hey, is this something that we're trying to put out as a product for the fans? Or is this actually something for the NFL players? So now that there's money involved and like you actually make more money based on how many Pro Bowls, there's like a minimum, like, how many years in the league, there's a league vet minimum. Well, now there's like a Pro Bowl minimum that's been instituted over the last couple of years. Therefore, it's going to change over the next couple of years. This won't be a problem. The Pro Bowl is going to turn into fan event and it's not going to be like, oh, hey, Shador is a Pro Bowl. No, he's at the Pro Bowl, but he wasn't a Pro Bowl. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it is worth pointing out just for those who don't know, there is a difference between the Pro Bowl and being an All Pro. Being an All Pro is significantly more of an achievement than being a Pro Bowler because, as Mitch pointed out, Pro Bowl does have a portion of it that is based on fan vote, similar to the NBA All Star Game. Whereas
Yeah.
All Pro is voted on by the actual like coaches and GMs. So being an All Pro is significantly more important than being a Pro Bowler. Now, how that factors into contracts, I don't know because being popular does put butts in seats, and you do get paid for putting butts in seats, even if you're not an all-time great player or anything. So, I mean, there is validity to that argument. Also, I can't help but notice someone else snuck on Discord. Are you ready for an introduction yet, or are you just hanging out?
I didn't even notice.
All right.
Yeah, and just before he ends.
Yo, sorry. I'm here. I logged on and then I come to you from our living room with two topless Santucci's, and I hate to break it to you, it's the only combination that nobody wants to see. But
So
one of the
Jerry and Vinny?
Santucci's is over here. Yeah, right. One of these Santucci's, as soon as I logged on, started screaming bloody murder. So we are managing the background noise so we can discuss the hot tops as much as possible. I did have a question, Alex, because I've been listening for a while.
Before you ask your question, now for those who don't recognize that voice, welcome back again to Vinny Big Daddy Santucci.
Big Daddy.
The Renzo effect still going strong, especially since he's there with you. So
Yeah. Yeah. Mom apparently had to go out and do some work. So, two
yeah,
of us
you
just
put your
chilling.
mom to work so you could be here. Well, your fingers hurt. Well, now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled yard duty.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Mom's on yard duty. I would love to know, Alex,
Waterboy reference?
what were the combined wins for the AFC Pro Bowl quarterbacks?
That is a great question. I think Flacco had one, Sanders had two, and Burrow maybe had five. Might be around seven. I didn't actually look up that stat, but that is a great question. It's not high to answer your question. It's not high. And
I
also,
cannot imagine. I mean, it's too. I think the fascinating storyline is, and obviously the popularity vote, and I agree with what Mitch said. Two teams that were absolutely garbage. I mean, and how about the fact that only two teams were represented in the AFC? Because technically, Flacco was both a Brown and a Bengal.
yeah,
So only two teams represented in the AFC.
Okay.
and
With
Mitch, to your
a
question,
combined wins of no more than what, 7 or 8?
yeah, it couldn't have been that high. And to Mitch, to your question, you know who might have been worthy of a Pro Bowl? It's gonna be people that we never thought we'd say. People like Trevor Lawrence, because like look when you look at the AFC specifically, it's like okay, injured, so bad he got benched. Can't play, he's in the Super Bowl. So bad he got benched. Terrible and injured all season. They're both in. He played the whole season, made it to the playoffs. So maybe it should have been Aaron Rodgers. Terrible,
Yes.
terrible, terrible. Got injured. Maybe it should be him. Rookie who played bad. Got injured. God no. Didn't make it. So yeah, realistically, to answer your question, the only
Shadur's
available
not
options
far off.
are Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence and Aaron Rodgers. That's who should have
That's
made
what I
the
was,
Pro Bowl.
that's what I was trying to say. While it's like when you really look at it, it's like it's not that far off from actually being
All right,
there.
I'll be right back. You take it away. I'll be right back.
um, I mean, you've got what? Justin Fields, probably not. Lamar
Yeah, well,
Jackson, no. Aaron Rodgers, C.J. Stroud, Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, Bo Nix, Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes. Well, Shador fits
okay.
somewhere in there. I'm gonna laugh really hard if he just
Go
plays
whenever, no rush, man.
extremely well like next year.
Sorry about that. I had to step away to do some business with our producer, but I'm back. Not our producer, excuse me, with our sponsor, but I'm back now. But yeah, so yeah, Mitch and Vinny both made good points. Mitch, like I said, I think there weren't a lot of great options, but there were a couple options better than what they had. And then yeah, the combined win point was great, Vinny, because yeah, that's awful, especially when you look at the NFC side and the combined wins of even when you bring in their backups, like the worst one was Goff with 9. I think 9, and what did Hurts have, like 11? There were
To
two
make
seasons.
matters even worse with some squeaking in the background, so ignore the additional background noise. But I read a report, which might actually be the funniest thing that's come out of all this, that Justin Fields declined a Pro Bowl invitation. So not only are we talking about
Hold
a
up.
combined 7 wins, but I have seen reports where I not confirmed or validated, but I have seen reports that there was an invitation for Justin Fields that was declined.
Having said all this, did you guys watch the Pro Bowl stuff yesterday?
That was my next point. I want to point out that Justin Fields had much better stats than a couple of the Pro Bowlers. 7 TDs, only 1 pick. That's significantly better than Shador Sanders.
Like some of the, I think the NFL's someone told him it's like it's a new era. You need to have Shador and his connection with the social media, and he's fun to watch. He's entertaining. I don't know, like if you're all upset with like he's overhyped because his name's Shador Sanders. Sure, if his name is Shador Smith, I feel like a lot of people would be loving this kid. So it's just like it's a
Well,
little.
no, and again,
it's
I
entertaining.
wanted to, I do want to make it clear. I have no beef with Shador Sanders.
He's very
It's
entertaining.
not his fault that he made the Pro Bowl. Like, it's not. I just think it's a joke that a guy who, quite frankly, he was a rookie that did not play well, who probably shouldn't have even gotten the job based on the fact that Dylan Gabriel outplayed him, is now in the Pro Bowl after having his jersey retired last year. I don't know. It's an undeserved accolade, and it's not his fault that it was bestowed upon him. And like, you get what you get in life, so good for him. But it's interesting. That's all I'm saying.
Todd Monken knows how to. It's going to be very interesting for me next year. Shador hype or anything, but like Todd Monken might have been the perfect piece for him. Kevin Stefanski is in top 5 rushing attempts every single year, even the years the Browns were bad. Forget the years they were good with Chubb and whatever. Like he's top 5 in rushing attempts every single year. You go from that type of play calling to Monken. I don't want to say too early, but I like what they're doing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Basically, what I'm trying to say, Alex, is like they found someone to fit their QB instead of like we're gonna go out and get this guy and make him fit this offense and everything. Well, it's like okay, we have this player now. Let's fit the offense and the coach to him. And I feel like that's what they did with Shador. So I like that.
Wait, you mean they're fitting Monken to Deshaun Watson?
It's not too far off, Vinny. That's not too far. They're gonna have a serious issue. It's gonna be an owner call, Hazlitt or whatever his name is. But you're not too far off. Watson's healthy, and by next start of next year, they're gonna have a serious discussion.
Well, and one thing that I think is going to be interesting that I didn't really think of is like good chance Aaron Rodgers turns him down if he gets asked, right? So if you ask Trevor Lawrence and he says no, you kind of have to ask Shador and Flacco because there's no one else left as a starter.
Yeah.
So maybe they were pigeonholed into it. I guess we don't know. I mean, still crazy. Maybe they pigeonholed into it. But yeah, let's move on. You mentioned the Pro Bowl. That was the other thing I was going to talk about at the Pro Bowl. So I watched a little bit of the Pro Bowl. I watched the very first event. You know what the very first event of the Pro Bowl was this year?
Tug of war?
It was AFC versus NFC women's flag football.
Oh.
Now, I'm not knocking women, and I'm not knocking flag football, but can anyone here explain to me how that has anything to do with the AFC or the NFC? Because I'm pretty sure no teams in the AFC or NFC have women on their roster. So, how's that work?
Now, if you made it the WAGs, that would be pretty entertaining. But random players is pretty funny, for being honest. Like, might as well just like have an intro WNBA game at that point.
Yeah, like look again. I'm not bashing it. I'm not bashing women. It's just like the concept of like, hey, the whole premise of the Pro Bowl has always been AFC versus NFC. So like, how do you determine which of these girls is AFC and which of these girls is NFC? Because it wasn't like they were like, it'd be one thing. It's like, oh, these are the cheerleaders from the teams that play in a flag football league. Like, no, they were just random girls that played flag football. So,
I'm gonna leave this one alone.
All right, fair enough. Well, did you? I have something I want to talk about while Vinny's here. Did you have anything else you want to talk about the Pro Bowl? Because you did mention the Pro Bowl.
Oh no, I think with the attitude and all that, and like Jamar Chase subbing in on defense, and Burrow asking not to come out of the game and stuff like that, like that's fun to watch. They're not taking it super serious, but it's way better than what was 4 or 5 years ago, that Pro Bowl where it looked like.
I mean, keep in mind, if Burrow comes out of the game, that means Sanders or Flacco go in. So I don't think anyone wanted Burrow to go out of the game from a play standpoint.
Could you imagine if you're Joe Burrow and you looked at the bench and it's either
Flacco
your backup, or the beginning of the. It's literally your backup's backup when you think about it, because Joe Flacco started the season for the Browns over Shador, so it's Burrow's third string quarterback. He's looking over at like the Jake Browning equivalent, being like,
and Burrow is his third string quarterback, and Flacco is his third string quarterback, right?
Okay,
because he was the replacement to Browning.
So we don't get off topic. We go to Chris, and I'll just sum it up with this: is like in comparison to 4 years ago or 3 years ago, that basically, which was like how players do like walkthroughs on Saturdays where they don't like not in pads and just run over the plays or whatever, like the hotel lobby or whatever. That's what the Pro Bowl felt like. So we've gone from that to this. I think they're in the right direction, and that's all I'll say. It's getting better.
That's fair enough. I mean, look, from an entertainment standpoint, it might have been better. That's fair enough. Sure. All right. Anyone have anything else about the Pro Bowl before I introduce our next guest and go to my next topic?
And our sponsor.
Were there any Cardinals players? That's what I want to know.
I've got the full rosters up on screen. We can check later, but let's give it up to our sponsor, Chris the Rainmaker Lee. How you doing, Chris?
How you doing, boys?
Happy to have you with us. And you're here at the perfect time, because the next thing I want to talk about, I think everyone here is going to enjoy. Well, I think almost everyone here is going to enjoy. There's one person here that may not enjoy what's about to happen. I would like to play you gentlemen a clip from one of our previous episodes. We just talked about the Pro Bowl, and when we talked about the Pro Bowl roster, we mentioned Sam Darnold made the Pro Bowl. He, the second string, behind Stafford. Can't be there, and again, he can't be there. Why can't he not be there, Vinny?
I think there's a game this weekend, so
There.
like there's
That's right.
priority.
He's playing for the championship. So here is Vinny talking about the Seattle Seahawks.
I don't want to touch the Seattle Seahawks. I don't love Darnold. I think their offensive line is still garbage. I think Kenneth Walker is their best player, and I'm not necessarily sure that he's going to stay healthy. And then I don't know if JSN is good enough to be an alpha when you don't have like a DK on the other side taking some targets away. I think JSN might kind of fall back into the Smith-Schuster like as the one. I think Seattle is very much so going to mimic those Pittsburgh Steelers offenses of the past. They're just not. I can't see a pathway forward for them being good this year.
So yeah, can't see a pathway forward for them being good this year. JSN is going to be like Juju Smith-Schuster and not an alpha. Anything to say for yourself on what may be your second all-time bad take?
AI is getting out of hand these days. That's all I gotta say.
The craziest part too is that's now going to be your offense as Raider fans, and he was crapping all over it.
I mean, the last time we took something from Seattle didn't work out for us. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, I do want to put out like I feel like your take on JSN may be worse than your take on Sam Darnold.
Darnold.
Honestly, I was thinking the same thing listening to it. I was like, wow, I can't believe I said that. Because in the draft, I will say I do think after that my thoughts had changed because when I started reading some fantasy material about how high they were on JSN because I did feel like Austin took him in our draft right before I wanted to take him. But now, like hearing that back, the JSN take is for sure worse than the Darnold take. They're not in the Super Bowl because of Sam Darnold. Like let's be clear.
Not.
Like he had a great NFC Championship game, but they're not in the NFC Championship because of him. And maybe without JSN, Darnold is worse, right? So yeah, all-time bad takes all the way around. Hated the Seahawks. Now, from a fantasy perspective, I wasn't that far off. I mean, JSN was the only fantasy relevant player, so I'm not terribly upset. But yeah, all-time bad take on the Seahawks. Which maybe just goes to show that either their coaching is really good or Clint Kubiak is going to be an amazing head coach for some teams, maybe in the Nevada desert.
I like how Alex can't spell his name.
No, well, because his name's spelled all weird, man. Hold on. And also, Chris, now that you're here with us, how happy are you that you're not a regular on the show so that your bad takes aren't recorded for all to listen to in the future?
Listen, there's a reason I'm not a regular. My fantasy season was abysmal, and I'm not here to offer any sort of takes.
Well, you don't have to give a take. You just get to bash Vinny, so, welcome in.
That sounds a little unfair, and it sounds like bad karma, but I'm here to bash Vinny every day of the week.
Look, he's got the Renzo effect going for him, and I'm giving him these nice nicknames. So I gotta do something to bring him back down to earth.
Yeah.
But
By
really,
the way,
go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just was talking to Vinny last night, and I just realized that his son's name is Kylo Renzo.
Wait, Kylo's part of his name too, or are you just adding that?
No, I just realized how perfect it is.
Gotcha. So
to me, he's Kylo Renzo.
You raising the Sith over there, Vin?
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part is he's probably never going to watch that trilogy series, but the good part is that technically he does have, Renzo. So, we've had, not to deter this, but if you watch all the Star Wars, including the animated series, you kind of start to get the Sith a little bit more. So I'm not sure which side I would raise. I'm not sure if it's a Rebel. I'm not sure if it's a Sith. Let's just say it's TBD.
Vinny continuing to swing for the fences with bad takes. Not sure if he would go Sith or Rebel. Fair enough. Go ahead, Mitch. What are you going to say?
Oh, I've been Team Maul for about 15 years now, so you're preaching to the choir there. Especially after Rebels.
I guess I'll just have to represent the light on this podcast because I'm surrounded by evil.
Listen, you're literally choosing between communism or they're not part of the Republic or they're going to have to fend for themselves. So it's either like ignorance is bliss or communism. And I'm like, well, at least the communist people have some sort of functioning government society. The Jedi are like, no, not our problem. Sorry.
If you had to describe the Revolutionary War, which one's the Empire and which one's the Rebels?
The Empire is very clearly the British Empire.
And we are the rebels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so not all that great. But now, if you had to describe the Americans,
No comment. We're not a political podcast, but yeah, let's.
are
Yeah,
we the
you guys are
rebels or
gonna
the
get the
Empire
sponsor.
now?
You're gonna get the sponsorship pulled real quick.
Yeah,
just
keep
asking
in
rebels
mind.
and
Keep in mind, our
Empire.
sponsor could be deported at any minute by ICE, so we need to be very careful here. So,
Whoa, whoa.
he's not a certain skin color. They might arrest him. Let's call it like it is.
I mean,
so-
luckily for him, he is the right minority. So for that,
yeah. Again, please,
I have
please
yet
stop
to
getting us
see-
canceled.
I have yet to see the illegal deportation of South Koreans in the United States. So
Listen, I say Kylo Renzo, and within 90 seconds, this podcast just disintegrates.
Well, I
Agreed.
mean, you made
I feel
it a
like-
Star Wars podcast.
welcome to the dungeon, Chris.
Yeah,
welcome to the dungeon.
Okay,
You don't realize,
so
Chris, we edit all this out normally, so.
that yeah, we edit. We only ever had to edit one time, and it was me doing all the editing. Thank you very much. All right.
And you just cut it off at one spot. That was fine.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I had then.
You
picked
mean
back up
after another all-time bad take by Mitch Black, where AJ Brown proceeded to go and put like wide receiver 1 stats up for the rest of the season?
The guy literally quit. Like after I had it, the guy literally quit on his team and said, "Don't draft me." Have we ever heard someone say, "Don't play me in fantasy"? Like ever? And like a week after we had that conversation, he's like, "Please, guys, don't play me in fantasy." I thought that was amazing timing.
All right. So I want to talk about something that while we're all four here. I got a little game for us to play. The Olympics is coming up, right? And something that we've kind of heard talked about a lot is, it'd be funny or interesting to see them put a regular guy out there in the Olympics to just show how good they are. It's kind of like, for people that saw that video, there was like the mom's race at the daycare where mothers got to race, and one of the mothers was a U.S. sprinter, and so she torched all the other mothers. Like something like that. You put out like, look, an average build dude goes out there and tries to swim the 100 meters against the actual Olympic swimmers, right? You have someone go out there that's like a guy who skis as a hobby, like for fun, once or twice a year, go out there and try to do the slopes against a skier, like just to see the massive skill gap, right? So my question then is, if you guys remember that show MTV Made, where you're like, oh, he made into something. If you took a random like average person and gave them 1 year of training, MTV Made style, which sport would you still be the furthest from being professional at the end of that year?
Winter or summer?
Either one. Both.
Men's
Either one.
gymnastics.
You think men's gymnastics? Okay.
No matter how much you train for a year, you're not doing pommel horse or these flips. Let's be ridiculous. It's not,
You think men's is harder than women's gymnastics then?
I'm not sure. The quality of the tricks is like they always say Simone Biles can do the men's tricks, so they're always like comparing it. So I would probably go with the men, but I'm not an expert on gymnastics. I don't know.
Well, I was just
Simone
curious.
Biles-
I was just curious because you specifically, said men's gymnastics, not gymnastics.
Oh,
training.
I apologize. I just from my own personal view, I said men's.
Well, I mean, they do.
gymnastics.
They do different
I do think
events.
they
Go
say
ahead.
the rings is. I think they say the rings is the hardest event, right?
Sure.
I was
There
gonna
is
say men and women
there
do
is
different
no
events
way-
in gymnastics. So
You could give me 10 years, and I'm
Yeah.
probably not doing a ring routine.
Yeah.
I might have to agree with Mitch's take. Like I would have to like bypass all drug tests, and I'd have to stack Ozempic
For real.
plus steroid to do like the ring.
Chris, what
if
about
we
you?
were- oh, sorry, Chris.
I personally think gymnastics is a good one. I think powerlifting is right up there as well.
Oh yeah. That's a
Like
good
there
call.
are guys my height, my weight from China who are doing probably 4 times what I can do. And I don't think any amount of training I could do in a year or in my life would get me close.
Well, and not even that. Like in the Olympics, you're not competing against guys that are your size and weight. You're competing against like these actual powerlifters who've been doing it for a decade. If you only had 1 year to bulk up, you're not going to get to their size in 1 year.
Counter argument: all of you could probably do a single bench or a single power clean with the bar, so you could actually do the event. You would just finish dead last.
Yeah, I mean, you could say same thing for gymnastics.
Yeah, the question wasn't could you do the event. The question was
I don't even know if I could jump and reach the rings or the high bar. I mean, let's be real. Like, do you even start?
Well, you obviously don't have faith in yourself, Vinny, because
I would
think
love
if
to
I
see
trained for a
Vinny's
year, I could jump and touch some rings.
I like how Vinny just assumed it was him when I said pick a random average man. He's like, okay, that's me. So,
I did the same thing though, Alex. I did it through my viewpoint where I was like, what is the hardest for me to do?
I mean, I'm a
But
41-year-old fat guy. I don't think me like I was thinking more of like a 25-year-old guy that's like goes to the gym once a week, like an average in shape human.
Do you know what? I know the rings are harder at the professional level, but do you know how intense pommel horse would be? I don't think people understand how intense pommel horse would be. Going to Winter Olympics, I would probably have to pick any of those like cross country skiing things. I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, you can ski," but like at their pace and their level. So I guess for the Summer Olympics, I guess I'd pick any long distance running because it's like, yeah, you can do that, but you're never gonna do it at their time. Good luck. Like never in a million years.
I think winter would be slalom on the skis.
Where you hit.
I mean, there's no way.
Knees.
Yeah, and you just go back and forth on the hills.
Yeah, that
Like,
or
I
some
mean-
kind of cross country. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can't even go down a slope that steep, like, period. And then you have to do it while going back and forth on those hills. Like, no thank you.
I think the one that I could do but not survive is maybe the luge. You could push me down there, but I don't think I'm surviving.
Speaking of, did you guys
What's
see
it?
recently the U.S. team failed to get in? Like this wasn't luge, it was bobsled, but basically
Yeah.
the entire team except the captain failed to get in the bobsled.
They-
So he was
I-
by
yeah, they-
himself with no brakes doing the whole course.
I think.
Because for those who don't know, the reason there's 4 guys in a bobsled is they do different things, and the guy at the back is the guy that handles the brakes. So he didn't get in. So I mean, the captain can steer, but he couldn't. He had no brakes.
I just Googled percentage of athletes hurt during the event, and this is the Olympic athletes percentage of them hurt. If you had to guess which event produces the most hurt Olympic athletes every time, and it's not even close, it's like way far away. What would you guys guess? And we have not said it yet.
The most hurt athletes? Well, I mean, it's got to be something that has like a lot of people in it, right? Oh, that ski jump event maybe? Because that seems
That's
insane.
it. Ski aerials has
Yeah.
a 38% injury rate.
Yeah.
Do you know how high they go up in the air? I'm just-
Dude, I've watched this crazy.
What about X Games?
Well, hold on. We just got to go through winter. Did anyone else have a winter one besides that hasn't spoken up yet? If not, I'll give mine.
Is it the one where you like ski then shoot?
Yeah, so so mine's gonna be biathlon, which one of my favorite events to watch. But the reason I think it's gonna be so hard, it combines your sport that you mentioned, Mitch, of cross country skiing, with needing to be able to shoot, which, neither of those is maybe the most difficult skill wise, but you're having to master both of them within a short period of time, as opposed to trying to master one thing, which I think would be very, very difficult. As far
that
as
was
summer,
worse
I
too,
agree
Alex.
that I think gymnastics is probably the most challenging one to pick up.
That one's worse too, because when they like miss or shoot or like hit their time, they move on. They just like go in a circle as like
Yeah,
their-
they have to do extra cross.
At least in
country
cross
skiing.
country, you get to go the scenic route.
Anyone else have did Vinny and Chris, you guys both give your winner one as well?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, mine is slalom or moguls, one of those two.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty solid. I don't know winter sports well enough to know all of my options. I know I've been snowboarding. I know how bad I am. So maybe like half pipe, or like what's the intense one that they do, like freestyle maybe.
Yeah, I mean a Canadian
Um,
snowboarder got hurt today actually.
Yeah, I mean I know for sure I'm getting. I've like torn my MCL and had a concussion on like a intermediate slope, so I can't imagine how bad it would get.
I hurt my back in Deer Valley with you guys one year, and I've just never gone since. So let's just be real here. I'm not doing any of
Yeah,
that.
I think that's a pretty safe bet
I'm
for me.
realizing
Or
too.
maybe
Yeah,
maybe I last like one play in hockey. I mean, just immediately just get blitzed as soon as I get the puck, and I'm just dead on the ice. So
Well, keep in
those would
mind,
probably be
it's
fine.
not you right now. You get an hour you get a year to to train. So yeah, you'll still get creamed, but like it's not like you won't be able to skate or anything. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
got a
and
year to learn how
snowboarding
to
for sure.
skate.
I'm
Like
realizing
you're not teaching me how to do like a half pipe in snowboarding in a year's time.
Yeah.
I'm realizing I have a much better chance at summer Olympics than winter.
All right. Then, well, someone mentioned X Games, so we may as well throw that one out there. What about X Games? I mean, this is much more extreme. So
Yeah, I couldn't when we were talking about games. I couldn't remember if Big Air was Winter Games or X Games, but I'm pretty sure it's X Games, and I don't think I'd be able to do that. Like, just to conquer the fear itself, I think would take more than a year.
for me, I think
Coming
it's something
from
like BMX, like the jumping part of BMX, right? Because it's like not the racing part, but because you're on a bike, so like when you fall, it's even worse because you're falling on metal or have metal falling on you, and you're going very
Um,
fast still.
you guys ever watch that movie where the guy like climbs the buildings or like walks between buildings like free or whatever, like no harness or whatever, or like you ever go up like a big story? My feet get numb watching those things. Like I'm not big air. It like makes me physically uncomfortable watching it. I couldn't imagine actually having to do it. Like I'm not kidding around. I'm at home on my couch and my feet will tingle on some of these high up events, and I'm just like, nope, I'm good. Never happening.
Mitch, did you watch Alex Honnold climb the building in Taipei with no harness?
Yeah, I saw that and I got no attention. And I'm just like, this guy literally at any point could die. What's the name of that? What was the name? They just happened a couple days ago. I forget they give a name for that type of climbing or whatever.
Free,
Where it's
yeah,
no,
free like free soloing.
yeah, free solo or whatever. And I'm watching that and I stopped after 30 seconds because my feet were going numb. And I don't know if that's like a involuntary thing that I need to go see a doctor about or not, but like, I'm not joking. I watch those things and I'm like, I get visibly, physically sick. How did that not get more attention, Chris? That's one of the craziest things I've seen in years. And people are just like, cool, good job, dude. Hand clap.
A lot of crazy stuff
Yeah,
going on in the world right now, I think, is the reason.
if you guys have never seen Free Solo, that's a documentary that's 100% worth watching. It's Alex Honnold doing, I think, El Capitan with no harness, and it is mind blowing. And then I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard really good reviews about him climbing that building in Taipei.
Yeah, the
Recently.
Taipei was a couple days ago, right? Because that
Yeah, it
movie
was
I saw
recent.
like a year ago or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's the same guy. Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah. But 10 out of 10 would recommend, especially, if you don't have any type of fear of heights.
All right, ladies, let's reel this back in to some more football talk then while we got people here. And again, people that have to bounce and who have to bounce, just go. But I did talk about last week the Pro Bowl, which we talked about. I also talked about the Hall of Fame. So I do want to revisit that conversation a little bit. Not to rehash what I talked about, but I do want to, more news came out. Robert Kraft also not going to be in the Hall of Fame this year. Now, he has similar issues to Belichick. He was involved in cheating scandals. He was also involved in sex scandals, which may or may not be held against him. So I gave all my opinions last time. So I'd love to hear your guys' takes on this. What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame and whether or not Belichick, Kraft should be first ballot or not?
Anyone want to go?
Vinny had to bounce. It's just you and Chris now.
Okay, well, I'll go real quick, and then I probably have to bounce in. But it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It does seem like sour grapes, especially Bill Polian when you interview him, and he doesn't quote unquote remember if he voted for Belichick or not. And then it's the exact amount of votes that they needed to hold him out. 11. If he had 10, he would be in. So it's one person changes. It feels to me like it was established beforehand that these voters called each other like, Alex, if you and I were part of the voting committee, I'd be like, hey, 2006, we should have won the Super Bowl as the Colts, but he cheated on us and taped our practices. I would like you not to vote for him to make him a first ballot. And you're like, okay, no worries. Because then later on, you're going to have someone you want to champion, Alex, and you're going to call me up and be like, hey, I want this person to get in, so I need your vote. So I think that's just kind of what happened. Honestly, at this point, I think Parcells should do what T.O. did and not have the ceremony at the Hall of Fame induction place or whatever, and just do it yourself on Zoom. And if you really wanted to stick it to the voters, make your girlfriend do it. I would make my girlfriend do it on Zoom and have her do the speech and just make it a complete joke. Because you guys are a complete joke for not putting me in on first ballot, regardless of cheating scandals. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's this unnecessary debate in sports talk. Like, why are we debating? If you look at all these statistics and everything, it's like some of these coaches get in because they have like win percentage or playoff wins or regular season, and it's like he, Belichick beats them in every single category, not just in one, like every single category across the field, and he's not in. So, I mean, besides the memes that have come out that have been gold about it, I think it's actually just embarrassingly sad.
Well, two things though, real quick, to touch on what you said. One, I mean, like I said, I'm of the opinion that cheating should be a lifetime ban. If I was a voter, I would not vote them in, but it wouldn't be because I was salty. It'd be because I am anti-cheating, and I had that stance against anyone, whether they're on my team or not. I would vote no every single year, not just 1 year. So I do think there is validity to the people that voted no. Not all of them. I do agree. I do agree with you. I think it's more of conspiracy and more of saltiness than people making a moral stand. But if it was a moral stand, I'd be fine with it. And the second thing that I wanted to point out was something that you had said. I've already forgotten, so I will yield the floor to Chris until I remember. So Chris, go. Oh no, that's what I was gonna say. When you talked about making it a joke with the acceptance speech and all that, I wouldn't do that because then you're making a mockery of the hall and not just the voters, right? The problem
The
is
hall
the
made a
people,
mockery of you, though, right? So that's all I'm saying. Go on, sorry.
but it was the voters that made a mockery, not the actual Hall of Fame. Because if you do that, you're not just mocking the voters, you're also mocking all the people who are in the Hall of Fame, your peers who did get in and were deserving. So it's one of those where you have to pick your own battles. Like I totally get where you're coming from a pettiness standpoint, and it would be gold to watch, but you wouldn't just be sticking it to the people who shafted you. You'd be sticking it to the entire fraternity of Hall of Famers, and those people had nothing to do with this.
Not to cut off Chris, if you want to jump in whenever you want, Chris. The only thing I will say is, do you know when Spygate was? What year?
Well, yeah. So you're going to bring this up. No, go ahead. Tell them what year it was.
2007. So if you just
but hold on. But before you keep going, do you know when the last time the Patriots were fined for cheating by spying on recording other teams' practices?
2018, I think.
2020. They were fined $1 million.
2020.
So they were still cheating as recently as 2020. And Bill Belichick hadn't been the coach there for a few years. So he pretty much never stopped cheating. And that's another thing I think people need to know. It wasn't like, oh man, I cheated this one season, my bad, I won't do it again. No, he continually cheated in multiple scandals, and it just wasn't a big story because it was during COVID, right? The 2020 cheating fine wasn't a big deal because it was during COVID, and there was a lot more going on in the world than football, and so people didn't talk about it. But they were caught cheating as recently as 2020.
The reason I think they didn't talked about as much because that was caught cheating under the new rules post 2007. So 2007 laid out the groundwork of rules of what you can tape and not tape, and Bill Belichick, blurred the lines of taping and not taping. But Spygate 1 is literally they have someone pretending to be media taping their practices. And did you hear Tom Brady's story in Tampa? They were going the week before the Super Bowl or whatever, or there's the NFC Championship game. They were practicing outside because the weather was good. And Tom Brady literally told Bruce Arians, this is a true story, said from Tom Brady, hey, I'm not practicing outside. And Bruce Arians is like, why aren't we practicing outside? He goes, do you see all those windows? And he's pointing to like housing complexes that could see into the practice facility, just around the practice facility. He's like, look at all these windows. I'm not. And he made the practice go inside with closed windows, and they ran all their plays inside. So that alone should be enough to tell you, like, there was some serious cheating. My point is under the new rules, since 2007, this is a fact. They have had someone tied to the NFL, part of their organization, that checks them every single week. The NFL hired someone whose only job is to make sure Belichick is not cheating. That person has been on staff since 2008.
But all that does is tell you how big of an offender he was. So I stand by what I said. Let's let Chris get a word in here. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you guys are both arguing, over the exact issue of the problem with like this quote unquote snub. And I agree with you, Alex. If you're going to take a moral stance and that is how you're voting as a voter, until you lose the ability to vote or until, the vote gets passed on to somebody else, sure, go ahead. But the problem becomes if you vote any other way for Bill Belichick in the future and you do vote him into the Hall of Fame, then you are abusing your power as a voter, right?
Totally.
And you clearly left him off the first ballot Hall of Fame for other reasons other than taking a moral stance. And then you sort of do the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, a huge disservice. I'm with you, Alex. Like, you don't want to make a mockery of the Hall of Fame just because they snubbed you. I think like all of I don't know if I'm with you, Mitch, on like matching petty with petty. But at the same time, it's like, Alex, you responded to that and said, well, you don't do that because then you're not just making a mockery of the voters, you're making a mockery of the entire fraternity. It's like, well, didn't the voters just do that by not voting him into the Hall of Fame? Granted, who knows? Maybe Bill Belichick will never be voted into the Hall of Fame. And those 11 people or whoever are going to take this moral stance that he cheated and that he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. And if that's the case, great. But I have a feeling that he is going to get voted into the Hall of Fame. And then all of a sudden, when you look at the Hall of Fame, the, I guess, prestige of the Hall of Fame is sullied because now everyone knows that the Hall of Fame is sort of political in nature, you know? And I think that's kind of my issue with the whole thing is it's the voters, by doing it this way, if they end up voting Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame, have politicized the issue, and what happens in the future with anybody else. I get the whole thing with Bill Belichick, but, cheater or not, I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he did cheat. Like, he still has an over 500 record against every team in the NFL, right? The Patriots had a dynasty that is pretty much unmatched by any team in the history of football. So, like, what happens in 2028 when Tom Brady's on the mound? Like, do we determine that he was a part of the cheating scandal? I mean, like, didn't he destroy his phone instead of turning it over to the authorities when they asked for it?
Yeah, I mean,
And by
he was
authorities, I
definitely a
mean,
part of Deflategate, which is a different cheating scandal. So, like, even if you try to argue that he had nothing to do with Spygate, which clearly
He probably didn't.
Clearly he benefited from it and knew about it because of the whole
For sure.
the thing you just said, what he did on Tampa. But even
Yeah.
if you say that had nothing to do with Brady, you still can't say nothing to do with Deflategate because that 100% had to do
But the
with
Deflategate is
Brady.
also a joke, in my opinion, because Aaron Rodgers came out and said he overinflates the ball, and all of them do these weird things like Joe Montana and Steve Young said they used to throw the ball in the dryer for 2 hours before the game so it gets scuffed and marked and had better grip or whatever. Like, so quarterbacks have been doing that for the longest time. Deflategate, Tom Brady destroying his phone is hilarious. Yeah, so he should take a hit on that. But like, even if you take away a couple Super Bowls or whatever, he still has a Hall of Fame career with half of his career, and the same goes to Belichick.
Well,
You're going to have
that's where I think it goes to what I said last week. I think, and to what Chris was saying just now, you either think they are Hall of Famers and you vote yes, or you don't and you vote no. You shouldn't be allowed to vote yes one year and no the next, or no one year and yes the next. You either think they are or you aren't. If I was a voter, I would vote no on all of them because I think they're cheaters and they don't deserve to be in. But I would vote no every single time. And if someone voted yes every single time because they thought they deserved to be in based on what they did on the field, and not what they did like outside the field, or not what they did from a cheating scandal, I have no problem with that from like a voting standpoint, because at least you're just voting how you feel about it and you're being consistent. That my issue is the consistency, and like Chris said, the politicization of this. So yeah, the next question, I think Chris got to put it out there. Do you think they will do the same thing to Brady that they've done to Belichick and Kraft?
It'd be so embarrassing if they did. I gotta go, so I'm gonna say it on this. I'll just end on this. Think of it. I just want you to think of it from this perspective. Like, you're Bill Belichick. You spent your whole life committed to football and studying, and like you see that whole behind closed doors where they practiced the Malcolm Butler interception. They ran that play in practice like 15 times and taught Malcolm Butler what to do on these plays. And Browner, by the way, people forget Browner, the other corner on that situation, was taught to take the inside leverage or whatever, which allowed Malcolm Butler to make the interception. That was practiced a million times over in practice. Do you think Belichick has not practiced the correct plays a million times over and got his team set up for success? The only thing and the last thing I'll say is like the level of pittiness. You go back to that comment. you've spent your whole life as this. What did Bill Polian and the other 10 voters do by not putting you into the Hall of Fame? Everyone in the nation is now talking about your career. From Bill Belichick's point of view, now everyone is debating my career, cheating, all this, going back with a fine-tooth comb and looking at all my career because you didn't vote yes or no. So I'm going to equal this level of pity. And Bill Polian, while you watch my acceptance speech, it's going to be my girlfriend on a Zoom call. Good luck with that. You're going to make everyone in the whole country debate my eligibility into the Hall of Fame for a year. You're going to have to deal with some level of pity back.
All right.
I actually think it's the opposite. I think that the amount of support that Belichick has gotten, I think most of the media coverage on Belichick has been really, really bad since he left the Patriots, and even before he left the Patriots. But I think when you hear all of these people coming out and saying if Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, who is? Like,
Right.
I honestly think people are talking about Belichick in a better light right now than they have, like, in the last, I don't know how many years it's been, like, what, 4 or 5 years?
I
Yeah, but
totally
that-
agree, Chris. I think this is the first time there's been a positive story about Bill Belichick since Brady left New England.
Because the story is
Yeah.
so negative that people have to stand up for how bad the negative the story is. That's what I feel, right? Or is that wrong? It's like, this is so egregious. This is so outlandish that this is happening to Belichick. Someone needs to say something. And then also sorry, that brought up a good point, Chris, is there's reports that people just kind of assumed Belichick was going to get in, so they didn't talk about him because they want to use allocated time to get to 3 other people that are on the fringe for, like, Kyle Shanahan, who's been on the fringe for 10 years or whatever. I mean, sorry, not Kyle, Mike Shanahan for 10 years or whatever. So it's like a lot of these voters were like, whoa, don't talk about Belichick that long because he's obviously going to get in and we need that time allocated to other people to get them in. So I get that maybe, but then like the result of that is you guys messed up so badly that people have to actually come out and say Belichick is a good coach is wild to me. It just should be assumed in everyone's head that Bill Belichick's the greatest NFL coach to coach. So it's like, why are we not just in that assumption period? Why do we have to have people come out and actually fight for you, Bill? That's embarrassing for me.
Because he did it himself, because he's a dirty cheater.
Yeah, I mean,
He did it himself.
if I had to
Don't
have
cheat.
someone come out,
Bill, don't
That's
cheat
true.
and you'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
That's true. But Alex, if I had to come out and find out that people are fighting for me in like the Fantasy Football Hall of Fame, I'd be like, well, that's offensive. Why do people even have to stick up for me? I feel like I should be there. From Bill Belichick's point of view, is like, this is a joke, right? F you guys.
Hey, you heard it here first. Mitch thinks he's a first ballot Hall of Fame fantasy football player.
First ballot.
Oh, that's not even up for debate. That's not even a vote. All right. Had fun as always, guys. I have to go.
See you, man.
Have
Yeah,
fun.
see ya.
See you guys.
All right, Chris, and then there were 2, buddy, so it's just me and you.
Yeah, it's down to us. I got 12 more minutes on my commute.
All right, cool. So let's unless you had more to talk about the Hall of Fame, let's turn it back to the actual upcoming game, the Super Bowl. We've heard a lot of people give their thoughts, and I didn't think to ask theirs. And by their thoughts, I mean I gave my prediction last week. Didn't get predictions from Mitch or Vinny, but they're already gone. You're still here. What do you think's going to happen? Seahawks, Patriots. Who do you think will win? Who are you rooting for to win? If there's a conflict there at all, what you got?
So I'm gonna couch this. I belong to a playoff pick'em pool,
Okay.
and you have to choose AFC winner, NFC winner at the very start, as well as a Super Bowl winner. And then every round of the playoffs, you choose spread, over, under, and straight up pick. And spread is obviously worth the most. It's like 3 points. Over, under is 2 points, and then straight up pick is 1 point. But as you get through, wild card weekend to divisional round to the championship round, those points escalate. And of like 20 to 25 people, I'm down to like the final 4. And so I have some biases in how I made my picks. I chose Seattle as the NFC winner, and I actually chose them to win, but I chose them to win against, sorry, Austin, the Broncos. And I was almost really close on that too, of course, without Bo Nix being nixed. So personally, I would like it to be a close game. The spread is large enough that I think I'm going to go New England, because I think 5.5 is a huge spread, unless that's changed since I last checked it.
I think it's 4.5 right now.
Okay, gotcha. I have the over. 45.5 seems pretty low, and I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than people think, even though these are 2 really good defenses. I think, there's just going to be some offense, and I think that Some touchdowns will be scored probably late, I would say in the second half. And I think Seattle comes out on top.
All right, so you've got the Patriots and the points from a betting standpoint, but you've got Seattle winning the game. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, so you think it's gonna be pretty close? I mean, I like that. I mean, as a fan, I definitely want it to be close. A lot of my vitriol from the Patriots has to do with their cheating, and while Robert Kraft is still there, so obviously that is salty. The fact that Belichick and Brady are both gone, I think, at least I hope there's less cheating in the building. So I don't have the same vitriol for them that I used to. That being said, we've seen enough Patriot championships in the last 2 decades. Can we get somebody else in there? So I will be rooting for the Seahawks, but I would prefer a good game than a blowout for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I wasn't like super impressed watching the Patriots against the Broncos, and I know that the big matchup was the Broncos D line versus the Patriots O line, and we all sort of knew that Drake May was going to be running for his life.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Seahawks saw that and have schemed up some things to try and go after Drake, because I thought that the Broncos were really effective in doing it. It's just a huge disappointment that they had to deal with, Bo Nix being injured for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Like, everything about that game was just terrible. Like, you don't have the Broncos starting running back. There was a chance he would play. He didn't. You don't have the Broncos starting quarterback because he breaks his ankle at the end of the game the week prior. You end up playing in such bad weather conditions that the second half basically didn't happen. Like, nothing happened in the second half. Right? It was 10-7 at halftime and it ended 10-7, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, just like the missed field goals and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, you would have liked to see a better game. But honestly, I was impressed with how the Broncos played, especially their defense. And I don't know. The Patriots, I think they're going to be back there, unfortunately. Vrabel seems to have like a really good thing with this team. Drake May obviously, took a huge step and looks like he's sort of the real deal for them. So I think the Patriots are going to be back there. Seahawks, I'm not so sure. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think the Seahawks have a better chance of running it back next year than the Patriots. I talked about this last week on the pod. So the Patriots only played 3 games this year against teams with winning records, and in those 3 games they went 1-2. Up into the playoffs. Now, obviously, everyone they played in the playoffs had a winning record, but as you just pointed out, they played the Broncos with a backup quarterback and no running back, and they won 10-7. They played against the Texans, who turned the ball over 5 times, and they still only won by 11. And then they played the Chargers, who had no offensive line, which, sure, whatever. Okay, I guess the quality went against the Chargers, but even that game was like, what, 13-3 or something? Like, it wasn't good. They haven't looked good in the playoffs against good teams, and their games in the regular season, they didn't beat good teams because they were, a 33% win percentage against teams with winning records. So I do think they're on the way up. I do think Drake May is going to be the real deal, but I think it might take them a couple years to like fully find their footing. They just happen to get really lucky this year, and sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. Whereas on the Seahawks side, I do think Darnold is going to be a decent quarterback. He's never going to be great, but he's also never going to be terrible. And I think that the Seahawks defense is legitimate, and JSN isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So,
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I feel like this year there was like a huge power vacuum in the AFC, with the Ravens being as bad as they were and Kansas City being like surprisingly bad.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City obviously is going to have a huge bounce back. I mean, Mahomes and Andy Reid aren't done, right?
And I think the Ravens will too. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP, should have been 3-time. I think last year's voting is a joke that he didn't get it over Allen, but like, he was abysmal this year. I can't expect that to happen again.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think the Bills are eventually due. The weird thing is, though, it's just like you just kind of watch history repeat itself with the Bills. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I just feel like the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs are really the AFC, right? Like, they're the only ones who, like, I think have even come close to. Obviously, the Chiefs are bona fide, and the Bills are seeing ghosts in the playoffs, but they're always there. And then the Ravens obviously had a down year. But, like, who else in the AFC, is really challenging that spot? Whereas, like, the NFC, like, especially the NFC best, in my biased opinion. Like, the 49ers, they're stellar. Obviously the Rams, Sean McVay has done a lot with, and I mean, he's had a lot to do with, but like, just the fact that he sold the entire house, or whatever the saying is, like, basically to get Matt Stafford, they went all in that year, and everyone was like, oh, Rams are going to be terrible for the next however many years, but they haven't been. They've managed to play really well, and then you've got Seattle, and that's all in one division, right?
No,
and there's other teams in the NFC that you have to worry about too.
No, I mean for sure, but I mean I think the counter argument is like, there's a world where Stafford retires and the Rams are no longer relevant, right? Like, they instantly go to irrelevant. When you look at the 49ers, I think they're on the downhill, not on the uphill. Like, yes, they're still a good football team, but I think they have already peaked a couple years ago, and now they're going down, not up. CMC is only getting older. They do not have a receiving core at all to speak of at this point in time. Their defense is getting worse, and they just lost their defensive coordinator for the second year in a row. So I think the Niners are more likely to get worse than better. They're an older football team, so from that standpoint as well, as far as like the good players they do have with like CMC and Kittle. So I just think the Niners are on their way down. The Rams, I think they fall off a cliff when Stafford retires. Not that there's not good players on that team, but the team has nothing on defense, and when you lose your quarterback, that's such a huge blow. Whereas the Seahawks have their quarterback, they have their star wide receiver, they have a young quality defense. So yes, I do think their path will definitely be more challenging next year as far as like their division for sure, but I think their long-term prospects look really good, whereas I think the Patriots have more work to do before they get to like where they're competing on a regular basis.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get what you mean.
I mean, the Patriots lost the Raiders, right? Like,
yeah,
they lost the Raiders last year.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke about the 49ers moving their stadium away from the electrical substation, but put on my Mitch tinfoil hat.
Yeah, he teased us multiple weeks ago about a 49ers conspiracy theory. Then he missed an episode, and then this week didn't get around to it. So maybe eventually we'll get to find out what his conspiracy theory is about the Niners.
It's I've seen this online, and it has to do with the electrical substation that's next to the stadium and their high rate of injury.
I mean, you never know. You never know what's going to get you. Hey, look, sports is a superstitious thing, man. Like, there's the playoff beard, right? People don't want to shave when they get the playoffs. People don't want to wash their jersey, so they start to stink. You know what I mean? Lots of superstitions. In baseball, the rally caps, like, oh, we got to put our hats on backwards. You know what I mean? Or, this is my lucky seat. That's your lucky seat. I can't move. Because we're winning. We're on a run, so I can't go to the bathroom. Like, there's a lot of different superstitions when it comes to sports. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah. No, I'm all in on this conspiracy. It's a fun one. But with that, I actually got to get going. I've reached my destination, and I have to be somewhere in 10 minutes.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for sponsoring the pod. We really appreciate you. Say goodbye to the Delvers out there.
Thanks for having me. And, maybe I'll tease this. Maybe if this podcast goes long enough, we'll have to, do some swag or something at some point.
Oh, snap. Maybe some merch. Some dungeon merch. That'd be sick. All right, man. Well, I wish I'd be seeing you this Sunday, but I know I won't. But wish you and a Tara and a happy fun times together. So
yeah, it actually got way worse than that. I am going to be in a hotel in Santa Monica for a court hearing at 8:30 in the morning. This judge must hate football because the fact that he scheduled it the Monday after the Super Bowl is absurd. So I'm driving up there probably during the Super Bowl because it's going to be quiet and the roads are going to be open. And I hate driving to LA, but I think that's actually a decent time to go up to LA.
I mean,
and so yeah,
I'll drive you Monday morning if you come to the Super Bowl party.
Well, wish me luck because if we do well in court, maybe we'll get that merch sooner rather than later.
Oh, snap. All right, good luck, buddy. Thanks for being here. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we may or may not see you next week from the Super Bowl. I'd like to try to do a live podcast, but I won't have all my gear, so we'll see. But either way, wish you all happy viewing and have a great Super Bowl party. Have fun, stay safe. Peace. We're out of here.